Little review tonight. This is a product from Victorinox. It is one of their Swiss Army knives. This is the Swiss Champ, which is probably the biggest knife that you can get, which is truly useful. Some of the others are probably more to do with show than anything else. 33 tools on the Swiss Champ. Comes in a nice little box. User guide, which we'll touch upon in a minute. And this is in the black plastic scale. If you follow my channel, you know that I'm a huge fan of Victorinox products. The Alox Farmer and the Waiter coming with me everywhere I go. So the Alox Farmer pretty much lives in my work bag. The Waiter stays in my jeans fifth pocket. Great products, really useful. Obviously UK legal carry, so that's a good thing. Okay, well, as I say, the Swiss Champ is a pretty sizable tool, much bigger than, say, the Farmer, which is only a 3-stack arrangement. As I say, probably the biggest you'll get, which has got the right balance of usability, so it's not so huge in the hand that it becomes unwieldy. But with such a lot of unusual tools and a full variety of tools, actually the user guide, I would never have thought it, but the user guide is actually really useful, and we'll cut in some shots of that later on in the video, because some of the tools you really need a bit of guidance as to how to get the best out of them. But if we run through what's here, we'll start off with the small tools, probably just sort of mix it up from what you'd see elsewhere. So it's got the full complement, so you've got the toothpick. Next to that you've got a tiny little pen, which is usable. It's effectively a refill out of a normal sort of ballpoint pen, but still very usable. And then on the other side you've got the classic tweezers. So again, something to pull out a splinter or something like that. And there's a couple more. There's the eyeglasses sort of flathead screwdriver. So if you wear glasses, quite nice and useful. I actually bought one of those attachments just to chuck in my Waiter, so it is genuinely quite a useful thing to have. And then just next to it, nestled in there, is a small regular pin, and that pin they suggest you can use that to sort of clear sort of something like a windscreen wiper, washer, spray, a block nozzle, something like that. So that's quite a useful thing to have in there. Okay, let's work through the rest of them. So first up is the classic Swiss Army knife bottle opener with a flathead screwdriver on the end there, and the little notch there you can use to strip wire, or indeed you can use it to bend wire round, so creating a loop around that bit. Equally, the instructions indicate that the flathead could also be used to pry stuff. Next up is a can opener with a small flathead screwdriver on the end there, and that also can function as a small blade to open the skin of an orange. Next we have a Phillips head screwdriver. Then we have a small plastic magnifying glass. We have the pliers. Now, with multi-tools, I did get hung up a little bit on the pliers that you get with a Swiss Army knife, because clearly they're not in the same style as, say, a Leatherman or a Gerber, which are really sort of a plier-led tool. However, these really don't purport to be pliers in the same sense. You're not going to use these really, well, you're certainly not going to use it to cut wire. You're not really going to necessarily use it to loosen a bolt. The opening really isn't quite enough for that. You could probably give it a go, but really, if you follow the instructions or read the instructions, it's more about manipulating materials. So say you had to bend a bit of metal or grab something sharp or hot. That's really what they're about. This little notch here also has a function. That can be used as a crimp. So if you've got fittings on a wire, you can crimp the metal fitting on. Next up are the scissors. Not an awful lot to say about those, but very functional scissors, nice return. Next we have probably one of the tools that I've found most mysterious over the years. Never really got my head around what this was about. Obviously there's one function, which is a fish scaler. Never had cause to use that as I'm not a fisherman. It's also got a centimetre scale on that side and an inch scale along there, being about 3 inches. And in the instructions it shows that you can measure an offset and score out or scribe out a line along the edge of, say, a piece of wood. So there's a bit more to that than meets the eye. So your pen goes in the notch there to hold it steady. Equally, you can use it to wrap and tie a knot for your fishing line. Then we're on to the saw. I always like Swiss Army knife saws. I think that, the pattern of the teeth is functional, very sharp, and the breadth along which you can actively cut is very good. Certainly you could prepare some small bits of wood for a camp task. So if you wanted to make, say, a stand for across your sort of fire, or cut down some bits of wood for stakes, and with that sort of range you can easily cut sort of a piece of wood by, so almost 2 inch square, certainly over an inch square. It's pretty functional. Next up, we've got the file. So file on 3 sides, very, very sharp cutting pattern, really good and functional. The edge along there can be used to cut through an overhanging bolt. We're on the home straight on this side, and we've got the primary blade. Normal Victorinox shape there, nice and functional, full flat grind, how I like it. Never quite sure what the steel is on these, but they certainly hold an edge pretty well, and if you need to sharpen them, it's very easy to do. Sharpening notch there, which helps maintain a true edge, keeping your sharpening stone or whatever mechanism you're using away from the plunge line. Yeah, decent blade. The smaller secondary blade, which I think probably they describe as a penknife blade historically. So for sharpening your pencil or something like that. But really it just provides a second fallback cutting edge, in my opinion. I'm not sure if I'd ever choose this over the larger one. I'm not sure really which tasks would be better suited to a smaller blade, but useful to have. Okay, flipping over to the other side, you've got the corkscrew, which is pretty self-explanatory probably. It almost looks like it's going to be some form of flathead screwdriver, but it's actually pretty much razor sharp, single bevel chisel. So you can use that to sort of score a groove in wood. I do wonder if actually it would be better to have it on that aspect to allow you better access, but it's on that side. It's certainly very sharp, and I think like a lot of things, you've got to wait for the opportunity to arise where you've got to manipulate a piece of wood in that fashion and just see how it works. Next up is a true flathead screwdriver, single function really, and this is just the right size to use for electrical tasks. So if you needed to get inside a plug and rewire a plug or something, inside the plug you'd find some very small sort of grub screws, and that's pretty much the right size for that. Next up is probably one of the oddest tools in the Victorinox range. I think it's certainly been called in the past a parcel carrying hook. So if you've got a heavy parcel and it's tied by string, you can use your penknife as a handle and carry your parcel or your carrier bag hung off that hook. Also can be used to get a bit of leverage on a ring pull of some sort. It can also be used to disengage a bicycle chain without getting your fingers all greasy. So if you need to pull your derailleur on a derailleur gear, if you wanted to pull your chain back onto the cog, then that might be the tool to do that. Then finally, you've got the awl, which is a sharpened edge there, tapered point with an eyelet there, so you can use it to either ream out a hole, certainly in leather. So if you wanted to put in another belt hole, another hole in your belt or in your watch strap, you could certainly use it for that. You could ream out sort of a little hole in some wood, or you can use it to stitch leather or sailcloth or some sort of tough material like that, using the eyelet there as a sort of form of needle. Okay, well, I hope you found that useful. As I say, I'm a huge fan of Victorinox products. Always carry these two. This is a great addition to sort of maybe a kit bag, a camera bag, something like that. Its footprint is pretty small really, given the number of tools, and I think if you just get over the idea that this isn't really a direct competitor for something like a Leatherman, you'll be actually quite impressed by the range of tools. It certainly actually has more tools than you'd find in most Leatherman combinations, and certainly ones of this footprint. Really good little knife, really enjoyed reviewing it. I hope that's useful. If you like pen knives, everyday kit, denim, good quality footwear, please check out my channel. We might share some interests. If you like the video, please press like, and please subscribe. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.